G'day everybody, Andrew Maher here. Welcome to the second edition of The Blueprint. We've got a big show for you today. Review the huge win from Friday night. Have a look at the big game coming up this Friday against North Melbourne. The President, Stephen Kernahan, will join us and he'll take some of your questions from Twitter. So get involved right throughout the week. Hashtag The Blueprint. But before any of that, joining me once again, former champion of the club, and it wouldn't be The Blueprint without him, Mark Maclure. Lovely to see you again, Sellers.
Good on you, Andy. Great to be here after a good win.
I know, it's nice to be there. Good to see they took on board your 6-point plan from last week and used it magnificently. We got the President. Go on.
I'm not certain about that.
You've got the glasses on. You must be about to say something serious.
Well, I've got to be able to read.
I know you do. The President's about to join us as well. In fact, he's to join us right now, Stephen Kernahan. It's a joy to have you here, Sticks. Thanks for your very valuable time.
Thanks, Andy. Sellers. Good to see you guys.
Let's start with you, and then we'll get to you. What did you like most about, and it's this Friday night's closer than last Friday night, and we'll have a look at the North game before we're off air today, but what did you like most about what you saw against Collingwood?
Well, I think we've all been looking for our intensity to be up, and we had it, the week before Hawthorn. I think we lost it. The 2 weeks before that against Geelong and West Coast was better. But last week, you sort of knew for the first time, I could look at my wife Jenny and say after 5 minutes, I think we're up and away here tonight. So I thought our hardness at it was really good, and I thought the coaching staff did really well up there. I think it was real pivotal to the win.
I know that's something you want to talk about straight away.
Yeah, they did, and they actually introduced some youth. McGuinness was sensational. He had 5 tackles in his introduction game. Super job. Just did his job nicely. Nothing special. Kerno the same on a wing and had 6 tackles and did the hard things is what they were after. Simple game plan. They had great numbers around the contest, which really enjoyed. They had 6 forwards, which was really important to the way they structured up. They're the smallest forward line we've ever seen in the history. Digan, Arnfield, Betts, Walker, Garlett, and so on. So it was an interesting situation, but they, 6 small forwards are better than 5 versus 6. So that's one of the real things that I really enjoyed.
Did it catch you by surprise, both of you blokes, when you saw Digan go forward the way he did and have that defensive job on that?
I was rapt.
Yep.
I was really pleased, and I sat there and watched TV, and you could see, you can't see it properly on TV. You can't see if they got really 6 or 5 in the forward line, but after a while you watched them, and there was no spaces, no free players for Collingwood to kick to, so they had to bang long. Well, it's an interesting setup.
If you see Sellers, when you see Collingwood playing the footy, Maxwell and O'Brien continually getting off and helping his other
that's what they
defenders.
do.
That's what they do. Our blokes sort of fixed that up. It was important to the win.
And the smalls who run quick spaces, that means you don't have to kick it high and big targets. So then they actually rushed to the contest. So it was really well set up. Cruiser was outstanding. I love the way that Cruiser played in the ruck, flat out all the way through, took marks around the ground, actually really contested for 95% or 98% of the time. How many? You don't need 2 ruckmen. Shows you, and he came off the ground really tired. Well, that's what you're supposed to do, be part of that.
Okay, so what do you do this week? And this is a question to both of you as well. Robbie Warnock's got some charges he's got to face at VFL level, so he might not even be available. Let's assume he is available. Do you bring him in, or do you stay with that mix, just the one ruckman, and try and find a way of giving him the support somewhere else? I know it's a tough question for...
It's a big call for our match committee.
What does the President think?
Well, look, I don't know if Robbie's going to go tonight or not. Look, I'm not saying it's a blessing in disguise last week, because we needed the big bloke up there, but Hampson went off early and restructured it and helped us in the way the game ended up being played. They have to make a big call. Against North Melbourne, though, this week, they play the 3 bigs up the front, Goldstein, the ruck. 3 tall defenders down there as well. So Cruz is going to have to do it on his own. If he gets injured, there's no backup plan there. You'd have to use a defender. So you need backup a few other ways. So interesting call they have to make.
What do you do, Sellers? If it's your call and your call alone, what do you do?
I go with Cruiser.
Yep.
And you just back him all the way, and you help him around the ground with some boundary throws, ball ups around the ground, so he doesn't have to cover every ounce of it. There's a way you can get through.
Yep.
The other thing that I really loved was the dare and the boldness of the run. And Yaram was exactly that. He was back to his best, a really good sprint from half-back. It builds confidence amongst the players. This bloke gets the ball and then whoosh, away he goes. And you know what? You can lead because you know he's going to hit you. So those things really were fantastic. The coach was questioned. The President was questioned. Everyone in the whole footy club was questioned, and they answered a few things. I thought it was terrific. Loved every second of it. And to beat the enemy again was just spectacular.
Where are we at with his re-signing, Stephen? There was a little snippet in the paper this morning about
Chrissy Yaram?
Attempts being made already to make sure that the signatures got.
Yeah, we're right onto that, Andy. He's not far away. I was with Macca this morning. Hopefully that's not too far away, as I said. He's a serious player, and I reckon he's the game breaker. Judd and Cruz are outstanding all night. But I reckon after half-time, he was the game breaker. He used the footy so well, and our little blokes up forward, especially Eddie and Jeffrey, got into the game.
How was your week last week? I know it was ordinary at times, but good.
Well, my week was okay. I did Jared's show, and I might not have been definitive enough with Rats, for a couple of seconds, but I mean, I've been staunch by Brett Ratton from the start. I spoke at, before the Hawthorn game at the President's Dinner, strongly about Rats coaching us, and I just feel happy for him. It was a relief for everybody to get through. It was a tough week for him, but the club backed him up and we got a good result for him.
Stephen, Michael Klein from the Herald Sun caught an image of you and the coach after the game. It's all done and dusted and everyone's going home, and there you were going deep into the bowels of the MCG. Can you remember the moment and can you remember what the conversation was like?
I probably couldn't repeat the words I said on the way to the TV here, but I think it was, mate, well done. It was a great effort. And again, I say that they really coached well, Rats and his group coaches. I thought they got it right against serious opposition. Collingwood just about flag favourites, and said, well done. If anyone at our footy club deserved it, that's why you put yourself out there a bit more. I don't like sticking my head up if I don't have to, and just thought he'd copped enough, and there was time that he had some support. And Carlton's all about unity and strength, and it was time to say something about Rats, and anyway, he got the job done, which was great.
Greg Denham's story. You talk about hopefully the re-signing of a player like Chris Yarran. Greg Denham's got the story in the Australian on Monday about Carlton being prepared to make a big play for Travis Cloke. They mentioned 5 years. They mentioned 5 million. Melbourne's come up today and said the same thing. Is Carlton in the market for Travis Cloke?
Well, look, you've heard Greg Swan, I think Andrew McCarr have already spoken. There's been no offer put to them, Travis Cloke's management. I think, no doubt, I think our guys, our list management guys, which Greg Swan and Andrew McCarr head up, they'd be derelict in their duty if it didn't come up later in the season, if nothing got done. But I'll bet London to a brickie, Travis Cloke will be starting at Collingwood, so we won't have to worry about it too much. But, they're very scarce centre forwards. Everyone's after one.
When you say derelict in your duty, how far down the road do you go to make sure that you're not derelict in your duty? Has anyone at Carlton spoken numbers with the Cloke camp? Has it got to that point as far as you're aware?
No, we're one of Ralphie Carr's and I are board member of the Carlton Football Club, and we catch up with Ralphie now and again. But no, there's been nothing put to the management on Travis Cloke. That'll be, if he's still unattached at the end of the season, I'm sure you'd have a look at it.
One of the things that Andy and I have talked about is development of the younger players. Sometimes we see players go in and out of the side after 1 and 2 weeks, and you see opposition sides run them for 4 or 5. We've only played 3 new players this year versus Collingwood played 7 and Geelong played 8. Is that a problem?
Well, I don't know if it's a problem. I mean, our coaches see the players a lot more than we do at VFL level. I think it's been good for Matty Watson. There's a case in point, Sellers, about he's played a number of games. He's starting to feel better at the level. We hope Andy McGuinness, Mackie can come in and play well at the level as well. And you're probably talking about Kane Lucas as the one who was an early draft pick. Hasn't played a lot of footy this year, and we've had a lot of injuries. And he has his own hamstring injuries as well. But he's a bloke you love to get in, and I think our people like to see him. But I agree with the Sellers. If you get the young kids in and play them for 5-6 weeks in a row, that helps them.
It's all about confidence, mate.
Yeah, I agree.
These are all questions you can ask the President after the show, or you can see him ask these questions in the Google Plus Hangout. It's a great initiative that we're offering through the Blueprint, your chance to sit down with great men of the Carlton Football Club and put to them some of the issues, concerns and observations you might have. So make sure you join us after the show on Google Plus Hangouts. It is one of those conversations that, picking up on what Sellers put to you, that Carlton people have. We look at what Sammy Jacobs is doing in Adelaide, what Sean Grigg's doing at Richmond, and even to a lesser extent what Mark Austin's been able to produce at the Western Bulldogs. I wonder whether you share the frustration that some Carlton supporters share. They're playing their career best footy seemingly the minute they get out of the place, and it hurts you as a Carlton person to see that.
Well, we should confirm, Sam Jacobs, Luke Darce was saying the other day, Carlton, how'd they get rid of him? I mean, we hardly tipped him out the door. I mean, for Carlton people who know what goes on around our football club would know this final against Sydney that year, after half-time, the way Sam Jacobs rucked with Chris Judd, turned that final, and we should have won the game. Didn't get there due to not finishing off in front of goal, which can happen with our side. Should have done it. Sammy Jacobs wanted to go home. He thought he was number 3 ruckman behind Robbie Warnock and Matty Cruiser. And we didn't want to get rid of him all. He loved being at Carlton, but Adelaide had got rid of a ruckman, obviously thought they needed one, and was promised to play every week at the Adelaide Football Club. And he decided to go there. So in the last minute, we have to get a couple of late trades, or she lose him for nothing, and they are the absolute facts. So Griggy, I think it's been well. It's been a win-win. Hopefully get something out of it. Colo, and that trade. But Griggy was a good footballer and he's blossomed when he get there. It is disheartening, but I want to get that one clear on the Sammy Jacobs one.
Yep.
He was a highly required person. We worked really hard to keep him. Just got a better, more games offered. He thought better for him. And he's an Adelaide kid as well, you should know.
Yep.
Stephen, you've been president now for some years as an interim president. How long will you last? How long do you want to stay as well?
Well, look, a lot of people ask me. I have been around the club for a long time. I've been president, really for 3.5 years, interim just before that. Dick took over from him. I think in our constitution, I think I've probably only got a couple of years to go anyway while I'm there. So if that's as president or helping out behind the scenes, it wouldn't even worry me at all. It's the board takes it up in middle of December this year, and the board decides who the president is, if I'm still on the board, and we'll do that again this year. But I'm happy fulfilling the role. It's a lot of footy left to be played, Sellers, so later in the year we'll weigh that up. It's a year-by-year thing.
How was your day with Eddie? Your night with Eddie? Must have been spectacular.
I love going in on Wednesday nights like that.
No, I'm talking about Friday night.
Oh, Friday night. Look, he spoke for 5 minutes about me. He gets very emotional, Ed, God love him.
He loves footballers, that's all we know about him. Hey, time for some viewer questions. Sticks, we've had a lot of emails and tweets come through, and we've plucked a few out. Heath says, I'd be interested to know why Jared Wade at 29 was signed to a 3-year deal considering his inability to get on the park.
Well, Heath, yeah.
That's a tough one straight up. Good on you, Heath. That's a nice...
No, Heath, it's a good one because we need a centre forward. If we had Jared Wade playing, this last 6 or 7 weeks, we might not be in the predicament we found ourselves in. Look, we lobbied hard. There's a few contingencies in that 3rd year, but it is a 3-year deal, and he thought at 28 he wasn't hadn't played a lot of footy, had a lot left in him, but again his body's let him down this year. We hope that he trained well this morning, Heath, by the way, so he might be back in the next week or two with a bit of luck.
And just on that, some people read the cloak thing before we get to the next email. People are wondering how the club might be able to afford to put itself in a bargaining position like the one that would be required to get a Travis Cloak to the club. Jared Waite and Kate Simpson both go onto they're both eligible for the veterans list next year. So that frees up a bit of money, and with maybe a bit more massaging the list somewhere along the line, you might be able to find the funds required. Other than that, there's no money in the cap at the moment.
Well, I think, Andy, everyone's tight on salary caps. Let's make no, everybody is. And but if you had to get someone in, and it was really worth it, you had to get a Judd in, you've got to find a way. I think big clubs and every club should be doing all that. You owe that to your members and your supporters to do that, and that's what we'd be trying to do.
You might be an environmentalist.
It might be.
M. Fennell wants to know, do we have a clearly defined draft strategy? If so, what is it? Will we target key position players, midfielders or mature ages? Are you privy to that?
Well, the easy look, we put people in play to that. We've got Andrew McKay, who looks after the footy department. He's heads up recruiting, and he's on a list management group with Greg Swan, our CEO, and the 2 recruiting guys. Shane Rogers heads that up, and we changed that early this year. Look, you pick the best player. Now, we've got a few key position guys, Lukey Mitchell and Levi Casbolt in reserves and Patrick McCarthy, that a lot of our supporters haven't seen yet, and they've had a few injuries, but they're all playing at the moment. And we look forward to seeing those guys come through. But, you'd have to talk to our recruiting guys, but good midfielders and key position blokes, you can't have too many of them.
They're pretty handy as well. Harry Harrison says, Matthew Pavlich recently named you as the best South Australian, as the best South Australian player of the last 25 years. Who do you rate as the best South Australian to play in the AFL in the last quarter century? Is there one that stands out for you?
You're a good man, Harry, but that's a hard one. There's
just
my old mates, Craig Bradley.
I know, you're too nice a bloke at times.
Craig Bradley, Andrew McLeod's been a pretty good footballer. Mark Rashudo's been a pretty good footballer, and there's Chris McDermott, one of the bear player.
He's going back, isn't he, Silas, all of a sudden?
Past 25 years with Chris McDermott,
That's a tough one. McLeod was pretty
I think he has, outside the 25-year rule. You never had a mullet, did you? You had a beautiful mane when you were a young man.
He was very attractive.
I had a fringe at one stage.
You had a beautiful mop, but
it's
I'm not
gone
sure.
now.
Not sure
Don't worry about me, okay?
The mullets are back. Now, you are the president of the All-Australian Mullet Society. There's you on the left.
Have a look at it.
Let's have a look at this. Can you rate the 3 that we're going to have a look at? There's Taylor Walker. There's Jesse Crichton. And we've got another one, Ivan Maric, coming up. Which one of these 3 do you think best resembles the mullet as you like to think of it?
I think Ivan Maric has been an absolute... he's brought it back. It's been fantastic. I think mine's been longer than that before too. But Ivan, fantastic.
You should tuck it into your bathers, didn't you?
It used to bounce off the shoulder when you run along.
It's good to see you've kind of hung on to it too after all those years, which is a beautiful thing. Remember, you can tweet or email us comments and questions. Our Twitter address is #TheBlueprint, or email the club with the blueprint in the subject line at blues@carltonfc.com.au. We could go on for longer, and hopefully we get another chance to spend some time with you down the track. But we really appreciate you coming in. You got out of a tough week last week, and let's hope there's many more good ones to come before this is done and dusted.
Thanks, Andy.
Sensational, mate.
Stephen
Kernahan, the president of the Footy Club, will be back. Hopefully they say that we're still going okay and we can come back next week and do it all again.
Maybe.
What do you reckon the chances of that are?
I don't know.
Let's hope it's good.
See what happens.
Mark Maclure joining us as well. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. We'll be back the same time next week, 1 p.m. on Tuesday in the Blueprint. We'll see you then.